Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to a Friday podcast. So happy Aloha Friday, everybody. We are getting closer and closer to Christmas. And man, oh man, has it been feeling like Christmas for me. So big shout out to Brandon Brucker for sending me out the Moto G Power 2025. So I do have that device here on hand, and I'm just going to give you guys my first impressions about what I think about the phone after setting it up yesterday and all that good stuff. So yeah, no unboxing just because there's a lot of them on YouTube, so there's not really a reason to like go full throttle on an unboxing and everything like that. I mean, there's like pretty much not a whole lot to the box in itself, just the phone and a charging cable and a sim tool and a booklet with some pertinent information regarding it. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about that here in a little bit and just what I think so far. Basically put all my pixels away. As somebody that I can say over time been using Google Pixel phones and have just been technically spoiled to flagship devices, so using something that is budget, right? Because this is a $300 phone. So $299 gets you a Moto G Power, and you can probably find it like even cheaper on sale. I mean, like 150 bucks, maybe even some places that have like for 100, just depending. And I'll talk about that in like my full review of the phone in a couple of weeks. So I'm just going to be using the phone as my main daily driver device right now. And that's what it is. So it has my primary SIM inside of it. And I got to say, so far, the experience has actually been pretty good. Now, think about this and keep this in mind. Realistically, it's a budget phone. So there's not, like the expectations of wanting it to be flagship is just not something that I focus on. I'm not primarily focused on that. And you're going to hear that throughout, this segment of the live stream today. I'm also recording it as well, so I can set it as a separate video all on its own. But yeah, so before I get into it, there is a poll question in the chat. Basically, do you wish Nothing Tech was present in the USA already? So that is currently going on right now. Oh, we got a vote on it already. Okay, someone said yes. So I'll keep an eye on that poll. But as you're joining in, hit the like button. I would truly appreciate that. Sharing this on your social accounts so other people can find the video would be very helpful too as well. So yeah. All right, so the Moto G Power. So first off, Motorola makes really good budget and mid-range phones. Okay, hands down. If you're someone that doesn't want to spend like $1,000 on the Ultra series from Samsung or the previous Note series, I mean, you can probably find a pretty decent smartphone with a built-in stylus if you go with the older Note series. But like, the more present ones, they're called the Ultras, and they're pretty expensive. And sure, like they got like a ton of features in them, right? But if you don't want to spend that type of money, but you do want a phone that has a built-in stylus, like LG had that moniker back in the day with the G Stylo series, but Motorola continues to dominate in that area with the Moto G stylus. And the stylus series has been pretty good. Like I used the Moto G stylus 2024 before I gave it to my son last year, and I really liked that phone. It was pretty solid and really good. The only downside that I tell everybody when it comes to Motorola devices is just software support, which is one of the things about the Moto G Power 2025 that I'm actually pretty happy with, and I'll get into all that. But yeah, so anyways, for those who are spec heads, obviously I'm going to give you guys the specs here. This is all up from GSM Arena from their website. So this is some of the things. I'm not going to go through every individual spec, but I am going to go with basically the main highlights of it, right? So it's a 6.8-inch display that is 1080 by 2388 pixels. You got let's see. Well, released with Android 15, and it's going to get 2 major Android upgrades. So that means that Motorola is starting to commit to more software updates on their devices. So if this launched with Android 15, it means that its end of life is going to be Android 17. And that's pretty good because you can get at least a couple of years usage out of it, not having to, install a custom ROM or anything like that. Some people just don't want to deal with that type of stuff. and it's totally okay. So the fact is that they're giving these updates. That's good. That's a very good thing. 128 gigs with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it does have the ability to create virtual RAM or VRAM by just adapting some of your internal storage as allocated RAM. But 8 gigabytes of RAM should be okay because, I mean, you know, the Pixel 9a has 8 gigs of RAM and it's totally just fine. Processor chip is a MediaTek Dimensity 6300 processor. So a mid-range chip from MediaTek, and MediaTek's been doing pretty good with processor chips so far. So I don't really have a complaint there. 5,000 milliamp hour battery in this beast with 30 watt wire charging, and it looks like 15 watt wireless charging, so that's pretty nice. Oh, I can say a lot faster than the Pixel A series, which, you know, eventually I will have a comparison video between this and the Pixel 9a and give you guys my thoughts on that, so stay tuned for that video. But anyways, yeah, so this phone was released early this year, right? The beginning of 2025, and now we're at the end of 2025, and I have my hands on one. So shout out to Brandon for that. I'm gonna give him recognition for it, right? So a couple things to note here: the glass front is Gorilla Glass 5. Of course, the device itself is plastic, like a plastic frame. And then you got the eco leather on the back, which some people kind of like. They like that. So that's that's pretty cool. I'm getting notifications here on YouTube. Anyways, so you got the Mali G57 MC2 GPU. As far as the Dimensity 6300, which is a 6 nanometer belt processor, it's got it's got some decent usage out of it. I can tell you guys right now, so far in 24 hours that I've been using the phone, it's actually been pretty decent. There's a couple things on that. As far as the cameras in itself, so I'll just kind of go down to where I can, get to the cameras for you guys. So the main camera, there's a 50 megapixel f1.8 aperture wide angle shooter. And it's got optic image stabilization. Then you got an 8 megapixel f2.2 aperture 119 degree 13 millimeter ultra wide sensor. So, a little bit of a dumbed down camera sensor compared to the G Stylus. But you know what? The name pretty much tells you where this phone is primarily focused. And I think one of the big things here is its rating. It is IP69 water and dust rated. They just came this morning. I don't understand the city sometimes. Thanks for getting involved in my video. Anyways. So yeah, IP 69 water and dust rated. I mean, that's majority of Motorola devices in the past times. They've had this nano water resistant coating, but they would tell you that it's not classified as water resistant or dust resistant. So you really wouldn't like take it into the pool or anything like that, which I still don't recommend. Even if your device is IP rated, I would not take it into the pool. Definitely don't take it, to the beach in ocean water, because the salt water eats away at its seals to protect from water damage, and so they will get water damage if you take it into the ocean water. So my rule of thumb, when it comes to these water resistant, dust resistant type thing, it's just I would say just for like splashes and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, it says it's IP68, IP69. Dust tight, water resistant, high pressure water jets, immersible up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. So eventually, going longer than that, and it'll get, you'll risk damaging the device for water damage. And another cool thing is, just in the fact that the phone in itself has Android 16. So here's the phone in itself. I have the gray version. There's a green version too. You guys saw from GSM Arena, but yeah. So that's one of the things that I like about Motorola. They have the screen effects and everything like that are pretty cool. So yeah, the phone in itself is first off, I already know that it's a budget device. So myself, when I get a phone, I have a realistic expectation of the phone. I don't expect it to perform like my Pixel 10. That's crazy. I don't expect it to perform like, the latest iPhone. That's pretty nuts. So when I use something like this and then I can see how it performs, that's why it excites me. While other people will be like, well, it's lacking here, it's lacking there. It's like, yeah, it's lacking that because it's a budget phone. This is a $300 phone. Okay. Again, you got to have realistic expectations. A $300 phone, you can huff and puff and try to blow the little piggy's house down. You're not going to do it when it comes to a phone like this because it's not meant to be a flagship phone. It's a budget phone. But if you compare this to yesteryear's budget phones, you definitely will see an advancement in all the things that it can do and how it performs. And that's where the magic happens. So the Dimensity 6300 processor from MediaTek, I can tell you guys, it does a fantastic job at everything that I've been doing on the phone so far. Now, I will say this. Yes, there are a few noticeable things that I've noticed about this phone, obviously, compared to what I've used even in the form of the Pixel 9a. So with the Pixel 9a, I can use the app YouTube Create to create content that I upload to YouTube, and that's mostly in the form of like creating YouTube shorts and stuff like that. But every now and then I do long form content editing on YouTube Create. It's got a ton of tools on it, and I just love using it. And when I'm rendering the video, so that way I can upload it, obviously, with the Tensor G4 processor, it basically renders the video pretty quickly. At least, like a 4 or 5 minute video, at high resolution settings, which is 4K, 30 frames per second video, it'll render that video out and it'll like put it out like in like 3 minutes. It takes 3 minutes to like completely just get that video rendered and ready to upload. And it's a little bit slower with the Moto G Power. So that's something that I expected. I didn't expect it to fly, like a flagship device, but I'd say like a 5 minute video at 4K at 60 frames per second, which is what I've done. 2 videos this morning I've edited with YouTube Create, and it was able to render that video after I was done editing a 4 minute video at those settings, and it did it in about 7 minutes. So I can still make some pretty decent content with this phone if I wanted to. It's got some very nice camera features that Motorola has that I wish would make it to other manufacturers like Google and the Pixels. I really wish that they would bring this. But of course, Pixels are primarily focused on AI now. They're not really focused on cameras anymore. So I don't think we can really expect that coming from them in the future unless they, surprise us. But my Motorola can do something called dual capture. And wow, look, you found quick launch. So select a shortcut. Hold on. Select a shortcut. And yeah, let's see. You can open a recorder, open Smart Connect, play music and pause, take a screenshot, screen record, back to home screen, or we can select a specific app. Let's have it open Gemini. There we go. And there, boom. Does it launch? Nope, it's not doing it. Is it the dimple you got to focus on? Hang on, let's see how this works. We'll do moderate. Try it out. Okay. Where's the trigger point? There it is. Found it. It doesn't always work. Okay, done. All right. Clear all. Anyways, yeah, something that just happened in the middle of it. But yeah, so I wouldn't say that the Dimensity 6300 processor is a terrible processor. It's going to do majority, like 95% of what I would do on a smartphone. It's going to do it. So I really have no big problems there at all whatsoever, right? Opening Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube is not something that, is such a heavy, intense processing, right? So running benchmarks on this and everything like that, this is why I always tell people, like, running benchmarks doesn't mean anything other than it just gives you like a figurative idea of what you can expect out of the phone. But it's not like the end all be all, because even though, like, you know, I know for a fact, for example, if I was to run a Geekbench 6 benchmark on this thing, right, it's not going to yield the best results in numbers. But on a real world usage stance, I'm already enjoying using the phone. And no, I don't miss using a Google Pixel with this in my hand as my daily driver device. Like, you know, it's just working out to be very good. And yeah, you know, of course, there's, you know, some things that people will say, like, for instance, no in-display fingerprint sensor, right? Like the G Stylus does. And that's nice to have. You know, it's modern day. It makes it seem like that it's modern, like all the other phones out there that have in-display fingerprint sensor. This one has a physical fingerprint sensor right there, which is the power button. And that's the coolest thing about it, is that it's actually a physical button. And it doesn't look like a fingerprint sensor at all. I mean, look at it right there. That's it, where my finger's touching. That is the power button, and that is also the fingerprint sensor. And it just doesn't look like, you know, a fingerprint sensor. It kind of matches well with, you know, the frame of the phone, which is a plastic with a matte finish color. So it's just, you know, it's like a stealth biometric fingerprint sensor. And yes, I don't like them positioned on the power button because, of course, you know, the most comfortable way would be in my right hand, holding the phone to naturally just rest my thumb on it. But I did set it up to a way where my index finger on my left hand unlocks it. So, I mean, that's like the only two fingers I can use. I mean, I could register all the other ones, but then it would just be like this weird, quirky, like, let me use my middle finger and let me use my finger. Like, it'd just be so weird. Let's see. Titus says, yeah, to my Moto Edge Plus. You took your Moto Edge Plus to the beach and it didn't want to charge right afterwards. Took months to get turbocharging back up. Yeah, definitely. Any device that's IP rated, do not take it into ocean water. I would definitely recommend that. 2026 will be good for Moto releasing their new Edge Plus. Yeah, so like the Edge is Motorola's flagship, but the Edge, how do I put it? Not the Edge, but like, you know, Motorola in themselves, like they just do very good with budget and mid-range. So like, yeah, you know, going back to this phone, right now, one of the things I'm testing out is because I just installed all my apps and everything on it yesterday and was using it last night. And then decided to just like put all my pixels away and just have this phone out. My secondary device is my Nothing Phone 1, but my main device right now is the Moto G Stylus, the Moto G Power. And yeah, so so far been having a pretty good experience. The cameras are not the greatest, okay? They're not the greatest if you're expecting it to rival iPhone, rival Pixel, or rival, you know, the Samsung Galaxy S series. No, they're not as good as those cameras, but they do take really good photos, especially with a little bit of patience. And that's what I was like, my son was talking to me about that last night, and I was telling him, because he was like, when I took one photo, that photo came out a little blurry, and I took another photo and it came out very clear, and he asked me why that happened. And I told him, like, you know, the shutter time and all that stuff plays a big factor in taking a photo. And of course, you know, I don't, you know, this device is not AI focused. So AI is not, you know, 60% in control of a lot of things on this device. It's actually a lot lower of a percentage because you actually have more control over your phone and what it's doing. And then, of course, you have the control over AI. But the cameras in themselves, you know, like they have these really cool, like you have like all these different things that you can play around with. And it even has, hold on, I keep skipping over it, but it even has a pro mode. Okay, so you can mess with the autofocus, you can mess with the white balance, you can mess with the ISOs, you can mess with all those things to take the type of photo you want to take. And then you got additional things here, you know, night vision and panorama, you know, tilt shift, photo booth, time lapse, slow motion, like you have those there. You have portrait mode right there, you know, regular photo, video mode to record video. And then you got dual capture, which allows you to basically capture, like, you know, the rear and selfie cam video at the same time. I don't see it into where you can do a dual capture photo, but they kept the video there, and that's the more important one. So I would take that over dual capture photo. But you know, it's good. And then you have different playful filters, which definitely reminds me of the ZTE Warp Elite, because you can just have these filters set in place right before you take your photo, and then take your photo. And one really cool thing, I'm just going to demo it right now, and it tells you to hold, and there's a photo. Well, there's the photo itself, and it took a little bit more time to process that image, but right there at the bottom you got a watermark, which allows people to know that I took this photo with the Moto G Power 2025 and the date when I took the photo. So it kind of puts that that data on the front, and that comes in handy when it comes to taking photos. Honestly, really it does. So I love the fact that it has watermarking. And you know what, this photo right here, and I'll post it on X, I'll post it on social media, but that photo does not look bad at all. Like, not at all. And we're indoor with not the best lighting, and it produced a photo like that. That's a very good thing. And apparently from here, so yeah, I'm just slightly going through some of the stuff right now, but you can actually edit the photo within the camera app. That's a very good thing. So and a lot of people do that. If you don't know this, but a lot of people that do like Instagram photography and stuff like that with their smartphones, they do a lot of editing on device. I mean, sometimes they'll back it up and upload it to their PC, and they'll do it in like with like software programs like Adobe and stuff like that, and they really clean up the photo and everything like that. But that's a raw photo. Well, not raw image, but like what I mean is that the phone, it's just natively from the camera, just point and shoot. And it's working out to be just fine. So gosh, I love that ripple effect. I don't know if you guys see that, but that ripple effect that happens, which you can do when you change your wallpaper, you can add these little effects to it. And the other cool thing is that if you don't want to have an app drawer, you definitely can get rid of it and just have all your apps on home screens, and you would just be swiping through home screens to get to certain apps. I don't mind having an app drawer. I'm used to it, so it's there. And another thing about this phone is that it's on Android 16, so it's already gotten Android 16. So it's gotten one of the promised 2 updates that this phone's supposed to get. So like when Android 17 becomes a thing in 2026, then I know that this phone will get it. I don't know if it'll get it around the same time that it launches for like, the Google Pixels and stuff like that, but it will get Android 17. That would be end of life for a major software update on the Moto G Power 2025. So if you buy a phone like this for $300, $300 unlocked, or whatever deal you can find from like different carriers out there, at least this is going to last you 2 years. Yes, one thing I do want to point out for people is that there is only 2 camera sensors. This right here, this bottom one that looks like a third camera, it's an ambient light sensor. So this couples with the two main camera sensors for like night vision and stuff like that. So yeah, for those that are like, it's got a triple camera, it doesn't have a triple camera. It's got 2 cameras on the back. It's got an ambient light sensor and then a flash just above it. So it has that quad look, and you see the 2 small sensors to the right. Top one's a flash, bottom one ambient light sensor, and then you have the main camera sensor and the ultra wide sensor. So but I do like the design aesthetically. Yeah, it's a little bit wobbly because if you turn it, you can kind of see the where the cameras are. It's kind of raised a little bit, and it's a nice raise too, because it's not like just like a sharp protruding area for the camera sensors. It kind of just like has this how do you describe it? It's just like a smooth transition into the elevation where the cameras are, and this back, what they call the vegan leather and everything like that, feels really nice. But it's not just about it feeling nice. It provides grip where I hold the phone and I feel good about holding the phone in my hand. I don't feel like it's terrible or anything like that. the side plastic rails that feel a lot better than plastic, and they have that matte finish, so it gives it that nice feel to it. It's pretty nice. And then you have a headphone jack, which I'm excited because I have my headphones here that I've been, that I use when I game on my PC, and I can plug it into this. I don't have to worry about using Bluetooth. I can just plug it in with the auxiliary line to my headphones and just listen to music if I want to. And yeah, you have a nice large display. I know people will talk about bezels, and I have to keep reiterating myself. I don't care about bezels. I am not hung up on the same stuff that everyone else just complains about, which the arguments and the complaints have no valid, in my opinion, no valid reason. And you could disagree. You could try to tell me that it is a valid reason and everything like that, but you're not going to change my mind. My wife. Yeah, messaging on here is actually pretty cool too. Like, have no problems connecting to RCS, none of that stuff. So I mean, there's a lot more that's going to come down the road when it comes to the Moto G Power 2025. Honestly, there's more I got to play around with, and so yeah, my primary SIM's in there. It's going to stay in there for a while. Pixels are going to be sidelined for a good amount of time. If I need to make reference, I always have my secondary line. I can drop this SIM into the Pixel 9a and do my comparisons or whatever if I need to. But for right now, I'm also using the Nothing Phone 1. I really like this phone, and even though it's not, getting Android 16 in the form of Nothing OS 4.0, that's totally fine by me. So yeah. I'm using this one, and that's the reason why I'm asking you guys if you guys think that they should bring Nothing Tech to the USA already. I think they should. I'm in agreement with those who have chosen and voted for yes. I am in agreement that they should bring the brand to the US. This is a very good phone. This is a phone I will recommend to people out there. If you can find this thing here in the US, if someone's got it for sale and whatnot. There's all the notifications coming through. I would say, yeah, definitely get it. It's a very good experience, and just like the Moto G Power, it's like it's not in your face type of thing. It's not set up or designed for you to just always want to be doom scrolling and everything like that. So that's I guess one of my peak interests. When it comes to using non-pixel devices, I think it's like when AI becomes overbearing on me, I want to take a step back, and using a phone that's not primarily focused on AI is like a palate cleanser. It's refreshing, So I do have access to AI stuff on the Moto G Power, and I do have the same AI access on the Nothing Phone 1, but it is Gemini Cloud AI versus Gemini Nano. That's the difference, right? If I grab my Pixel 9a or my Pixel 10 or any of those phones that support Gemini Nano on-device AI, then I can do a lot of those processes, even if there's no connection to the cloud. It will still do, Nano Banana, which is AI image creating, which by the way, has gotten so much better. And I'm going to be talking about AI here a little bit in a little while, but. Yeah, that's gotten good. Veo 3, which is AI video creation through Gemini, has gotten so much better, so much polished. So you could do those things with these phones. But the cool thing about it is that it's not on the device. So if I wanted to, quote unquote, detach from AI, I absolutely can. It would be no problem at all whatsoever to do that. And I think that's the thing about it today when it comes to tech and it comes to AI and everything like that, is having that balance, where, because AI can be absolutely helpful. I've been playing around with AI for months now. I even now incorporate using AI to help me with, my content creating, not in the aspect of creating the video, but in the aspect of creating like the thumbnail, helping me take my typed words for a description and make it sound as professional as possible. And they just completely reconfigures what I'm saying into the best possible form of saying it that would be captivating to people who's reading the description. I don't know if anyone actually goes into my video descriptions and reads. I would say check it out if you guys want to know what AI has been doing for me, because AI has been helping me with content creating on YouTube and on other social platforms. The thing about it is that the only area where AI doesn't play a part is in the video creation in itself. I do not use AI video in my videos. Like everything is just like point and shoot, where I'm just talking on a vlog, or I'm just showing you guys something that I'm looking at. It's always been those types of aspects. It's never really been like, you know, where I'm gonna have an avatar speak to you guys about pixels and do these fun animations. Like you could do that with AI, but yeah, it's not always the best idea. And I would advise that to other content creators that are using AI to create video for them to stop doing it, because it's not doing your channel any good. It's actually going to do more harm to your channel than it would be good. You still have to create original content, and that means by you actually recording video. But yeah, so nothing had and actually no, I'll just pull it up. Let me see if I can get this going. Oh man. Ooh, I'm just knocking over stuff here left and right. Well, let's see. Let's go down, 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 down. See if I get this up for you guys. Because they do have, I don't know if you guys know this, but they do have like, they do have a store, an online store specifically for the US market. And then they have one that's like, you know, specifically for like globally, internationally, where you can get an Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition. That would be a nice one. Oh, here it is. I found their global products is what it's called. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get this put up on the display for you guys. So yeah, automatically it can detect, you know, from my IP address, I'm in the US, so it's like, it looks like you're in the United States. But no, I don't want to shift to the US because I want to show this. And this is one of the big reasons why that I'm like, why can't this come to the US? Like, why not? First off, one of the things that people need to understand is that there's a limited amount of these specific, you know, Nothing Phone 3As that's going to be available. So they're not going to have like tons. As a matter of fact, it's already unavailable. So I'm going to assume they're sold out already. And literally, if you guys see like exactly what they're kind of doing with it, they're going with the whole retro theme, right? So like the phone in itself, its design, obviously, you know, plays, you know, a bigger part. And let me just like, let's just take myself off screen for a second. But yeah, like, you know, you have, you know, the phone in itself, this kind of retro cool style. Going with the back plating of the phone in itself kind of reminds me of like, you know, early 2000s Mac computers. You guys remember those with like the little, you know, the quirky colors, but they're translucent or see-through. You know, it was like revolutionary when it came to like, you know, home computers. But I remember those Mac computers, and this kind of like is like a nod back to it. But then you got these very fun 80s color, you know, like these things right here. These are things that, you know, we would have back in the day, like, you know, in the 1990s, late 80s. You know, just kind of signifying like, you know, the color appearances and the aesthetics of pop culture around that time. So you have those, you know, playful colors on there, and then, you know, you have you know, a white side rails, and then of course the front display of, you know, the phone. It's crazy. And then of course, you know, 256 gigs of internal storage, base amount, 12 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, it says right here, made together. So I guess, what they did was, I guess they probably had like people go in and just kind of like, say what they wanted in the Nothing Phone 3A. And that's pretty cool. I mean, this is a very, very good phone. And I would only hope that, I would be able to find someone here in the United States that got one and that is going to put it up for sale, which I doubt it because it is a limited edition phone. If I ever got lucky to have one in my hand, I mean, probably would just like, I'd fall over and faint because this phone is just so cool looking and everything like that. And then of course, Nothing OS is such a solid operating system. It's like, I've made this bold claim before, and I said it. If the Pixels were to just kind of go away, bye bye, never be made again. Google was to back out of the hardware wars with smartphones. Nothing would be the phone I would invest all my money into grabbing every version of it coming out. They're such great phones. Like, I mean, I can always describe in words what my experiences are, but it does nothing for you guys unless you guys get one in hand. And so that's where I would say, like, yeah, you guys definitely need to get a device in your hand. Of course, like this particular phone is not current in the US, and I don't know if Nothing is going to surprise us all and probably bring this phone to the US when they have more, but it'll probably be like in a limited capacity then. So it's just like, having a bunch of rats on the table and dropping a piece of cheese and watching them all fight for it, that type of scenario. But it's a very nice phone. I mean, this is a phone I would definitely rock as my primary device. And you know what? Like, yes, people always talk about like Nothing. Does Nothing even have AI? And they kind of do. It's not the type of AI that you think it is. So it's not like Gemini. It's not like Galaxy AI or any of that type of stuff. The essentials button to the right of the phone, which is that pink button you see in this little animation right here. That's just below the power screen wake button. That thing allows you to just have a few intelligent tasks that you could use that for. Mainly, it's more of its purpose is to be like a reminder type thing. So you can log in, ideas or maybe things that you need to do later on. Almost similar to like how Google Keep has like all these things that you can type a note on and just save it for whatever reason that it may be. And the Essentials kind of works like that. It's a little bit more intelligent though, but it's not AI that's overbearing in your face when it comes to Nothing OS. And I think that's a lot of what Carl Pei kind of focuses on when it comes to Nothing technology. It's like they're building all these phones, they're building these smartwatches, these earbuds, these headphones, and then they have a subdivision on a more budget scale called CMF. That kind of like it encompasses with the company's identity, regardless of where it sits at, right? So you have these devices. You have the operating system that's built for it. Everyone knows Carl Pei from the days of OnePlus when he was with that company before he ventured on his own to start his own hardware phone company. And to me, I don't judge a company by like how rapidly fast they grow. I mean, you look at a lot of tech. Okay, I've been following mobile technology for a long time. Probably when some of my viewers here who are were like just getting into like you were just getting your first smartphone. I've been following tech for a very long time. I've seen companies that had very high standards, very, very goal driven. They were superly ambitious and they failed miserably. Take Pebble smartwatches for an example. Great idea. I mean, as a matter of fact, you look now and they're like every manufacturer has a smartwatch built for it, right? Samsung Galaxies has the Galaxy watches. Apple iPhones have the Apple Watch. Pixels has the Pixel Watch. And you have Nothing here that has the CMF watches. You have Motorola's not primarily focused on their smartwatches anymore, but they had them, right? The Moto 360, they had those smartwatches. And then there's like a ton of other ones out there, like a Amazfit BIP and what was it? Yeah, there's just very different other ones. But anyways, so one of the things when you look at what happened with Pebble, Pebble got so ambitious. They did like a couple of Kickstarter campaigns. People were starting to question, like, why do you guys keep doing a Kickstarter? I mean, like, your very first smartwatch done by a Kickstarter campaign makes sense because you're getting a lot of people to understand what you're trying to build, and then they're, technically investing in you. So, do you invest? You made so much money. You were able to produce these smartwatches, and they were manufactured, built, and sold in stores like Best Buy and stuff like that. So you're starting to see them in Best Buy. And then the Pebble Watch 2 comes along, and you're going back to a Kickstarter, and people are just like, wait a minute, didn't you make enough money to, continue rolling out products with another generation, a follow-up generation, and all that other stuff? And so, like, people just definitely questioned what was going on with, with the Pebble smartwatch. And then eventually, they sold a lot of the proprietary licensing. They sold it to, I think it was Fitbit, and then Fitbit was acquired by Google. Now Pebble's back, but can they break into the market and grow and captivate a fan base the way that they did when they first started? Because now they've come back and they have, I think, like 2 watches. And a lot of the diehard Pebble fans, I mean, they're happy that they're back. But then, like, the casual users, like, are they ready for it? So, as I'm saying, like, I understand why there's a slow growth process when it's coming to Nothing Tech. I don't want them to rush and try to just, like, gain market share so fast. Like, I watched Pixels go through the same thing. I've watched them barely have any market share and, just basically well known by the nerds. And that was all it for Pixels up until the last 2 or 3 years, where they started gaining more market share. They started to gain more recognition, and they're regarded by casual users. There's people who decide, hey, now I want a Google phone, and they upgrade and switch from an iPhone to a Google phone, and they're happy. And no, they're not doing all the nerd stuff that we do with Pixels, but they do enjoy having the access to those things that they wanted to mess around with it and show their friends what their phone can do. 'Cause that's what some people do, right? I mean, it doesn't have to make sense, but some people would be like, look what my phone can do. They would just go and do that. And so, in this instance, Nothing is kind of like having that same growth process. Not saying that they're copying Pixels and they're doing it the exact same way. I'm just talking about, like, the time that it takes for them to grow. Like, Nothing is very recognized already, and a lot of people love their phones. Even if I can't get a hold of the Nothing Phone 3A Community Edition, if I was able to get a hold of the Nothing Phone 3A, I would absolutely just be happy. I mean, having the design itself is cool, but, like, at the same time, just having the 3A in itself would be amazing. Would be awesome. Even if I got the Nothing Phone 3, that would be pretty cool. I know some people were upset about, the way that they changed things up without, the glyph lights being switched up for what they call the glyph matrix, which, people are not fans of that. But I'm more of a software guy over hardware, right? You guys know that. So Nothing OS is something that, like, absolutely is awesome. I would love for, like, someone to build port a version of, like, Nothing OS 4, which is Android 16, and make it port it to be able to be flashed onto Google Pixels. I would so run Nothing OS on any of my Google Pixels. It would just be so cool. There's just a ton of things that the Nothing Phone has. I think is absolutely amazing, and at the end of the day, I really, really enjoy it. So, it's like, I like using the Nothing Phone 1. Like, I generally do. The Nothing Phone 1 is just like one of those really awesome and really amazing phones to me. I really like using it. But then I always end up putting it away because I'm afraid I'm going to damage it, it's going to break or something like that. And there's not really a lot of places here that are certified to repair Nothing technology. There's just not. So, like, I mean, I've talked to places like YouBreak, they say that they can do it. They would just have to, because it's a phone that's not offered here in the United States, like, like on a full-time basis type thing, I guess you can say, if that makes sense. That, of course, they would have to reach out to Nothing. They would have to get the replacement parts, buy it. And of course, that cost transfers to you for the repair. So it could cost me like $300 to replace the back glass. It could cost me, $200 to replace the Type-C port. Which is something that, when I bought the Nothing Phone 1, I knew that was going to be a thing I would have to deal with. And so I'm already prepared if I have to spend that kind of money to repair the phone and to keep it into tip-top working conditions. I have no plans to sell the phone or give it away. So yeah, the person that keeps messaging me on social media, that keeps saying like, if I get tired of my Nothing Phone 1, send it their way. And then they always give that sad story, like, please, I come from here and we don't get much, and I would love for you to just give away the phone to me. It's just like, I don't do giveaways on the channel because I feel like it's not fair. It's not fair for me to just hook everybody into a giveaway and be like, yeah, I'm giving away this phone, and then only one person out of everybody wins it, and I feel like that everybody else loses out. So that's why I don't do giveaways on my channel. I've done it in the past before where I gave away like Google Play cards. I've given away a phone, I think once or twice. And that always ended up in madness, and so I just stopped doing it and haven't done it in years, and I won't ever do it again because it's not right. The only way I would do a giveaway is if I became a billionaire. Like if I hit the lottery and won, like $336 billion, and went through the quick process of getting my winnings, because I don't care about fighting the government on what they're going to tax me out of my winnings. Just take your damn taxes out of it and give me the rest of the money. And if I had billions of dollars, then what I would do is, the 14,000 plus subscribers to the channel, I would contact everybody and say, hey, you're getting a Nothing Phone 3. I'd buy, 14,000 Nothing Phone 3s and just ship them to my subscribers as a thank you. I would do something like that. That to me is a better form of giveaway than just doing a contest where only one person wins. To me, that sucks. So yeah, am I in the market of looking for a Nothing Phone 2? Yes, I am. I am looking for any Nothing device that's available here in the US that I am able to get. It's kind of hard though when there's people say a guy in Indiana that has a Nothing Phone 2 for sale on OfferUp. I'm very sketchy about buying it and having them ship it to me. Of course, the better option would be is to go on eBay and find them. But you also have to remember too that Nothing phones are international devices, so it being compatible to all carriers in the US is, it's not a really good thing. Like my Nothing Phone 1, compatible with any T-Mobile network, MVNO, or T-Mobile directly themselves. AT&T, slightly kind of compatible. Verizon, no compatibility at all. I couldn't put the Nothing Phone 1 on Visible and use it on Visible or on Mobile X or any of those. So that's like the only downside about it. So yeah, I agree, that the Nothing Phone, Nothing Tech technically needs to be more available in the US. So hopefully that happens sometime soon. It looks like we got 6 votes on it and everybody voted yes. So awesome. Like I said, it's not about AI. When it comes to Nothing Tech, they're not primarily focused on AI, and that's such a very good thing. I use AI, and AI has rapidly expanded and has grown far beyond what I was thinking. And, like I said, in the month's time that, I've been creating content here on YouTube, I've been using AI to kind of help me with this situation. I've been using it to just, what up, Anthony? I've been using it to, create, to take my descriptions for my YouTube videos and just make it more professional sounding. I've used it lately I've been using it with Nano Banana for creating thumbnails. So I believe the thumbnail for this live stream was created using Nano Banana on Gemini Pro. I do have a pro subscription to Gemini Pro. So on Google One, I am paying for the 2 terabyte with Gemini AI Pro plan. So there's 2 different ones of the 2 terabyte plan. One doesn't have Gemini Pro, the other one does. And so I have the one that does have Gemini Pro. So it gives me access to do a lot more with AI than what the base functionalities are that's accessible to anybody out there. So I can play around with Veo 3, which is their AI video creation tool. And then there's also Nano Banana, which is an image creation tool. And literally you just go in and on Gemini and you just literally plug in what you want, what was it? The Vlogmas episode for day 11, I had just put in a little description. I was like, just create me an image that's at a 16:9 aspect ratio that shows a school with Christmas decorations. And then it brought up an image and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I was like, oh, but you know what? I just don't want it to be a plain Jane thumbnail. So I was like, add in a title, and then I put quotations, Vlogmas Day 11. And after hitting that command, And then what it did was there was a banner on the image, and it changed the generic banner it created, and it put in Vlogmas Day 11. So, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, instead of it just being like a title on the thumbnail somewhere, and now it's, within the aesthetics of the image that you're looking at. So I was like, this is a good thumbnail. So I use it as a thumbnail for Vlogmas Day 11. And that was done from Nano Banana. So AI is like just about almost everywhere, and it's avoidable. And yes, it's dangerous if put in the wrong hands. Like, it's not AI itself that's dangerous, but it's the people. So like, you can put a knife in a person's hands, and if it's a good person and they're going to use it for the purpose the knife is for. If it's a bad person, they're going to use it, committing a crime, right? It's not the knife's fault of whatever happens. It's the person holding the knife. Same way with AI. So like, when people talk to me about, like, they have fear of AI, Gemini is scary to them, and they think, this is going to be a whole Terminator Skynet situation. It's like, it depends on who's got their finger on the button. If it's a good person, then AI can be used as a way to greatly help humanity. And with us staying in control of it, we wouldn't have to worry about it being self-aware AI. There's a difference between artificial intelligence and then self-aware artificial intelligence. And we're not building the secondary. They've been building and working on AI as in itself. So it does think for itself. And it can understand a lot of things that, languages that we present to it of what we want. It can understand those things, but it's not self-aware where it has its own conscience. And that's something I think that they will never allow at this time to be baked into AI. Maybe 10, 20, 30 years down the road, maybe that might be the thing, and I'll be too old to even care, because I'll be at that point where I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to go. Whenever life says, hey, it's your time to go, then of course it'll be my time to go. But yeah, I won't really be around for that. But with this much AI around, it is a good advice that I'll give to you, all of you, that you kind of take a break away from it. It's nice to have, helps out on a lot of things, helps me out with content creating. It'll helps my kids out with, learning stuff for school, like in geography, getting some nice, points about a certain area that they're studying, so they can present it when they have to present it in class. They can use it to pull photos about what they're discussing. You can just take all those things and build you a nice little, a little presentation for everybody. But at the same time too, you also want to kind of step away from it, because then you're training yourself to be reliant on it. And like I was telling my wife, because she was like, oh yeah, like, you have AI to help you. And I told her, like, yeah, I'm going to use it to help me creating videos every now and then. Except for the fact of the description. I always want the descriptions to sound better than the way that I word things. So I'll always clean it up with AI. But like creating a thumbnail and all those things, yeah, it won't be all the time. And that's because I don't want to kill my creative side in my brain in exchange for using AI as a replacement. So I do have to work my brain. That's how your brain operates, and it works. You think and stuff like that. So that's why I do a lot of reading, a lot of meditation. I do a lot of deep thought. Those types of things, only because I am really primarily focused on just keeping my mind sharp. And so if I allow AI to completely take away all my creativity, then I will lose that aspect of the creativity side of things. And then, yeah, it won't be very good for me. Let's just put it that way. So, anyhow, so I would say to a lot of people, when it comes to AI and everything, you gotta find a balance. And that's the same thing with tech too. Like, sometimes just get off your phone. You always hear people talk about touch some grass, but it's not a thing to just take as like, this year's or last year's or 2023's year of memes. Like, forget the meme bullshit and let's just get straight to the point. Get out of the digital world, because when people have disagreements today, the reason why it's so cringe and the reason why like we look at it like it's so stupid is because a lot of us who don't allow tech to completely take over our lives, we have the ability to read people's body language, facial expressions, vocal tones, speech patterns. we can use that to develop, our impressions of what that person is at that moment in time, whereas other people can't, because with the digital world you don't see facial expressions, you don't see body languages, you don't hear speech patterns, and you don't hear vocal changes, like vocal tone changes. You're just reading words on a screen, and that's it. you know yeah, so I would definitely say, take a break from tech. Definitely take a break from tech. You don't want to be on it all the time. Anyhow, yeah, so that does it for this Friday's live stream. If you guys missed where I talked about the Moto G Power, my first impressions of it, just rewind back to the very beginning of the live stream and we get into it. I'll also, I did clip out that part just to make it a separate video, so I'll edit that and have it put up later on as its own individual video of my first impressions. But yeah, you guys got to hear it on a live stream. And yeah, I'm not going back to Pixels anytime soon. So it is going to be me just basically getting more acquainted with the Moto G Power 2025 and seeing how it does. I do have some Pixel clips that's coming out later on over this month, but not being my main daily driver device. So it's just like, an update on the Pixel 9a, update on Pixel 10. Maybe I'll do like a throwback video on the Pixel 7a. Who knows? But the Moto G Power. And yes, there will be a comparison between the Moto G Power 2025 and the Pixel 9a. So yeah, be expecting that video as well. I might, I'm going to compare it to the Nothing Phone 1 as well. Might as well. This is considered a budget, not a budget, but a mid-range device. The Nothing Phone 1 is not a flagship phone by definition. However, it's still a great phone. That's what I'm going to say. So you guys be good and be safe out there as we're approaching the holidays. And yeah, just keep in mind, it's a lot of love for you guys, because I do love you guys very much. I'll see you in the next one. Aloha.